So I started exploring the lake more and started fishing different areas and kind of just fishing different than I always did. And that's when I finally caught a fish that literally changed my life. I caught a 10.5-pound bass. As soon as I hooked into this fish, I knew this was something that I'd never caught before. Up until that point, my biggest fish was maybe 5.5 pounds. And as soon as I got this thing to the shore, I reached down and I just remember looking down and being like, this is the biggest fish I have ever seen. That day was pretty special. My dad didn't answer the phone. I didn't know what to do. I took some pictures, by myself because I was out there by myself, and ended up bringing that fish home and showing my great grandpa, and he was the most excited I've ever seen him. Couldn't stop laughing and smiling for like 5 minutes straight and just wanted to see it again. That was an awesome memory with him, and he actually passed away about a month later after that. So that fish holds a special spot in my heart for multiple reasons, but that's a big part of it. But I ended up posting a picture of that fish on Instagram, and even though I only had 100 or so followers, some fishing page seen it and they ended up sharing it, and then a bunch of other fishing pages shared it. And before I knew it, my page went from having 100 followers to having 15,000 followers in that first week. And it made me feel super uncomfortable because I'm just a small town girl that keeps to myself, and most of the people in town didn't even know what I was up to, and now a bunch of random people that I didn't know on the internet knew what I was doing. I kind of decided to just let myself feel uncomfortable. I didn't ask for it to happen, and see if any opportunities came from it. And I made a promise to myself also that no matter what happened, I would just promise to stay true to myself and make sure that I just kept doing what I love to do in hopes to inspire other people to do the same. We are at Lake Isabella, California, and I was actually born and raised at this lake, so my whole life. So, catch this giant fish, get a bunch of followers on social media, don't really know what to think about it. Half the time I'm just still working as much as I'm, working full time, and then fishing as much as I can outside of that. And just posting the normal content that I would normally post. At the time I didn't think of it as content, it was just like posting what I do on social media. And nothing really came out of it. I had some like small companies reach out to me and like, hey, we'll send you a t-shirt, send you a hat, but I was never, that's not what it was about for me. So then I started getting even more serious than I was, which was already an obsession. It turned from a passion to an obsession to almost like an addiction. Big fish in a long time, if you can't tell. 8.44. That fish seems bigger than that. So passion, obsession, now I'm completely addicted to this, and that's all I want to do. And I just kept learning more, teaching myself more. That was when I realized I wanted to buy a bass boat. And I'd only fished on a bass boat one time, and I went out and I bought myself a bass boat for my 23rd birthday. And that was, I don't know, there's just something about that. It just made me real happy. Usually with these baits, it's not a high number bait, but we're looking for quality over quantity. And there's just something about knowing that you have a chance at a giant. So throw these all day and hope to get a good bite. And that same year that I bought a bass boat was actually when things changed for me on the hunting side of things too. So that year was like it was just a crazy year that completely changed hunting and fishing wise. So caught a 10.5-pound bass, bought my first bass boat, and then I also got my first bow. So I was raised rifle hunting, and Similarly to fishing, as far as hunting went, my dad took me out and he taught me the basics, and it was mostly just about having fun and getting out and enjoying nature. We went to the same 2 mountains every single time, and we rarely ever saw anything, and if we did, it was teeny tiny. And most of the time I didn't tag out. I think growing up I'd only killed maybe 3 deer going hunting with my dad, and those are great memories and I'll remember them forever, but that year I was determined.
I gotta call my dad and tell him. I got him. Yeah, I got him. He was at 35 yards. I got him. He just ran like, yeah. I'm so freaking excited right now.
When I got up to the rock, I set my GoPro down, and so you could see me actually shooting with my bow, shooting the deer. And then after I got that deer, I actually called my dad, and he hiked up the mountain and he met me.
Like, it's not even a big one, but I've been waiting. I've been hiking every single day to try to get a buck, and I finally just got one. Oh my gosh.
He was right there. Look at that shot!
Oh my gosh! My first archery buck, and I hit him perfect.
Look at that shot. That's a good buck. Huh?
So that video actually went viral on Facebook, I believe. And after that, my following grew even more. So now I caught a 10.5-pound bass, and then I just shot this little deer, but it was my first archery deer. And those 2 things caused my social media to grow. I mean, I think at this point I had almost 30,000 followers. So I had a handful of small companies reaching out to me, but then I didn't even believe it was true, but my favorite company, Realtree, reached out to me, and you know, for my bass I was wearing a Realtree hat, and for my deer I was wearing a Realtree head to toe, and I just always like loved the pattern, loved the company, loved watching everything on TV. And so I couldn't even believe it. So Realtree Outdoors was actually my very first sponsorship, and it's been my longest sponsorship. One of the great, lovely things about California is we're not allowed to have any of the cool guns. When people meet me and they see me and they hear that I'm from California, I always get crazy looks. But small town California, people always think like the cities and the beach and, you know, like these big congested ocean towns, and I live in the middle of nowhere. It's a lake or river surrounded by mountains, and you don't have a city for an hour. There's hardly any people and just public land as far as you can see, and you can hunt and fish, and basically nature is your playground. Go do whatever you want. So growing up in a small town, I didn't have, you know, a lot of people to look up to. I didn't have any friends, male or female, who did the stuff that I like to do. Like, there weren't other kids in school my age that liked to hunt and fish. There was like one other guy, but that was it. So once I started getting involved in social media and just kind of learning what was on there, I was able to connect with these other females who also liked to hunt and fish. And it was just game changing, because I went from not having people to talk to about this stuff besides my dad to having other females who are also just small town girls who grew up hunting and fishing their whole lives, and now we could talk on a regular basis about our days and about what we're doing, and we got to help each other out. So I've gained some like lifelong friendships and stronger connections with people because of social media than I have in my everyday life. The fact that I had this community on social media who was willing to help me and answer my questions and inspire me, I don't know where I would be without that inspiration for sure, but also just without those resources. So if I can also be an inspiration and be a resource for someone else who's trying to learn, then I want to do that. It's just crazy for me to think about all the opportunities that have come throughout the last 9 or 10 years, all the amazing companies I've been able to work with, the hunts I've been able to go on, the things I've been able to do because small town girl working full time, still just having to buy everything on her own. I've gotten a lot of resources from sponsorships even that have allowed me to succeed and to enjoy the things that I've been able to enjoy. And it's just crazy to think about that it all started from that one 10.5-pound fish.